Good morning. Happy Tuesday to you. Welcome to Breakfast with Bridgett live on News 6 Plus and clickorlando.com. I'm Bridgett Ellison. It's good to be with you this morning. And we have a live interview this morning about the summer slide, which is, when the students, our young students, elementary and middle school age students, tend to lose a little bit of what they've learned so far because of summer break. So we'll talk to an expert in literacy about ways to prevent that and sort of mitigate that as we're, making our way through the summer. School starts up next month, so we can get them ready for that. And we're going to check weather and traffic and get to some headlines as well. And Chief Meteorologist Candace Campos is in the Pinpoint Weather Center with more on our heat and chances for storms. And there's some good news today when it comes to the heat, Candace. So I was glad to hear that.
I've got some good news. So we have not as hot and not as busy in the tropics. So I've got two good pieces of weather news for you guys today, right? I like delivering good positive news. And at the end of the day, listen, we are also dealing with some storms. We still need the rain. We just don't need anything to turn severe on us. So the good news is just beneficial afternoon, evening rain is back into the forecast. Just, keeping close eye on and making sure it doesn't reach that threshold where we start getting a little more concerned, whether it's the storm, wind gusts, or a risk of anything rotating in the forecast today. So this is your out the door information. If you're watching us right now on Take 6 here, I should say on News 6 Plus with Breakfast with Bridgett, not as hot. It will be feeling a little bit more like a normal summer day. Yesterday, it was just brutal when we talk about those feels like temperatures. We were already hitting 111 by the noon show. So we know that those temperatures cranked up even further. And the main reason for that was because we had that west breeze, but we also had a late start to the rain. Today, that's not going to be the case. Earlier start to the rain means temperatures won't have that much time to heat up. So we'll be back into the low 90s for our actual temperatures. And then those afternoon storms back up to about 70% or so, Bridgett. And also some good news. We're talking about a little break in the tropics. It was a very busy start to July with a major hurricane developing in the Atlantic with Hurricane Beryl. Now, Beryl is still expected to cause some issues across parts of the midsection of the country up to the Great Lakes today and tomorrow. But for us here in Central Florida, no tropical troubles ahead. We are watching, though, an area of low pressure. It's more of an upper level low that's getting a little closer, moving a little closer west towards Florida. And that's going to continue to keep us under a more unsettled weather pattern. When we have more of a west breeze, basically, it's just, you have to think of the east and west coast sea breeze as rivals, right? You got the dueling bands. We got that west coast sea breeze. It's going to be the stronger of the two, and that's going to push all that storm activity out towards the eastern side. And that's why we're going to see rain chances favoring basically 75 towards the east, coverage upwards about 70%. So let's show you here, clouds and rain forecast, showing those scattered showers starting to bubble up. There will be the chance of it kind of turning more widespread by as early as 2-3 o'clock. We were bone dry by this point of the day yesterday, hence why it was so hot in the afternoon. But then we will start to see more of those scattered showers. I do think that the overall coverage is a little much on our modeling, but I just wanted to show you that we are anticipating more of the activity to be across our western zone, I should say our eastern zones, then starting to kind of push out towards the west as the sun goes down. So an earlier start to the rain, we'll have some rock and thunderstorms. So if you were able to get stuff done a little later in the day because you weren't having to dodge the rain, that's not going to be the case as much today. But the good news with that is that we'll be done earlier with the rain, and we're also going to be done heating up earlier in the day. Low 90s will be your high today, which is right where we should be for this time of the year. And those feels like temperatures, instead of feeling like 115, we'll be feeling closer. It's like 102, 105.
So much better. What a difference.
So much better. So much better. And we are also, again, we're not watching anything significant in the tropics. Of course, we have a couple of those tropical waves out there. As of now, there should be a nice little lull, at least throughout the rest of the week and into the weekend. We will take it. We do have a lot of Saharan dust, Bridgett. That's kind of encompassing a big portion of the tropical Atlantic. And that tends to help suppress some of that tropical activity. but it's also filtering a little bit here into Central Florida already today. So if we are able to get the rain and clouds out of here, we might be able to, squeeze out a pretty nice sunset later on this evening. It was a beautiful sunrise already this morning.
All right. Well, it sounds good to me. I did want to touch on Beryl a little bit more because
Yes.
it made landfall yesterday morning in Texas, and so it's been deadly. There's so much flooding, and this has been a major hurricane so early in the year, and we're watching as this system it's still causing problems. Now Houston has lost a lot of power.
Yeah, power outages are still a really big issue, especially when you talk about how many folks are without power. You you have to start chipping away at that. We know very well how long it could take, to get the power back. But the storm surge, the rain. Now, the good news about the storm, if there's any good news, is that it was a fast moving storm.
Mm-hmm.
So it didn't sit over Texas, which tends to be very prone to
Mm-hmm.
flooding. So a lot of the flooding that we're seeing, a lot of it is storm surge driven, or just more of that short-term flooding that should subside pretty quickly, compared to, for instance, Harvey several years ago. And now that all that tropical moisture's got to go somewhere, and it's
Yeah.
actually being sent further north. So Great Lakes, if you have any travel plans, all the way up through Chicago potentially,
Yeah.
will be dealing with that. There was a couple tornado watches in effect overnight. Those have since been discontinued.
What
But
about like
the
New
tropical
York and that area? Are they
yeah,
watching for it too?
more towards like the Great Lakes,
Okay.
up the Mississippi there,
Mm-hmm.
and we're still going to continue to track that. There still has that potential of spawning tornadoes because
Mm-hmm.
tropical storms do that.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a tropical system anymore, but certainly has a lot of tropical rain. And like
Mm-hmm.
you said, Bridget, I feel like a lot of people didn't think, it's just going to be a tropical storm because it moved over the Yucatan Peninsula.
Mm-hmm.
But the problem is that our waters are just
So warm.
so warm.
Mm-hmm.
I showed earlier this morning on the newscast, our ocean temperatures in the Gulf closer to Florida is 88 degrees. 88 degrees
It's like
in the
fire to
start of
kerosene,
July.
basically. I mean, kerosene to a fire, basically.
Exactly. So, maybe did people just not heed the warnings? They thought, how bad could a storm be in early July?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe. Or maybe people were just thinking that they had a few more weeks to prepare and kind of get things ironed out. So, with that being said, how I mentioned we have a little nice break in the tropics for the next few days.
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't hurt to kind of make this kind of your moment to say, okay,
What do I
we
have?
already
What do
had
I
a
need?
landfalling storm. Exactly. So that would be my little
Mm-hmm.
2 cents if you don't have plans this weekend, or if you say, you know
Mm-hmm.
what, let's just carve out an hour or two this weekend and just kind of organize our lives, see
Right.
what we have, what we need, and kind of starting our brains on that, because I
Right.
mean
It creeps up when these things form, and then they creep up, like you said. The water's warm. Things happen fast.
and especially this time of the year. I mean,
Yeah.
this season, especially because we already had a Category 5 hurricane that far east that looked like an August-September storm. So what is August and September going to look like when
Yeah.
we get there? So
Yeah. We have to take it seriously.
we do, and we will be watching it. We will be watching every little blimp on out there in the tropics. We will let you know when it's time to get concerned, but I will be the first one to tell you this is the time not to be concerned, not to panic, just to say there's a break. Let's
And you
take
can
this.
download
Let's
our
take
free
advantage.
hurricane tracker app as well, in addition to our weather app, and that shows you the latest updates on tropical activity.
Right. And then also clickorlando.com/hurricane is a great resource if you know somebody who maybe just moved here, doesn't really know how to handle the step-by-step process and how to prepare your home, or what should be in your kit, or what should be in your car, or are you in an evacuation route, or what do I do with insurance? All those questions are answered. clickorlando.com/hurricane.
All right. Good deal. Thank you, Candace. See you soon.
You're welcome. Bye.
Bye. All right, Trooper Steve is on our traffic, and he's getting ready to roll out. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you guys doing this
Good,
morning? You
good.
guys seem like a little chipper and awake, and we're all just flowing through the motions this morning.
Yes. Another day. So
Another day.
I was afraid to ask you about it this morning, but we wanted to get an update on Boo and check the traffic with you.
So Boo is we have 24 hours remaining. Boo is scheduled to be euthanized at 6 a.m. tomorrow morning. We've had a lot of people reach out to us saying, "Hey, we want to help." Some people just sending thoughts and prayers. We did have several people reach out to our web team yesterday, and we were able to put them in contact with Orange County Animal Services. To give a valid update right now, the truth would be I don't know right now. That is that beautiful soul of a dog right now, Boo, on your screen. Look at those eyes. He's
So
about
sweet.
6 years old, and he's a lover. I swear, if you've got space, you've no other dogs. He's a solo dog kind of guy,
The only
and just
child.
wants to be around people.
Hmm.
Only child and wants all the love to himself, and he deserves it. He is still looking for a home, and today's the last day that we can kind of rescue Boo.
Mm.
There's another dog, a female, if you're looking for a female. Her name is Zara. She's also on the list as well, and they're not a bonded pair, but they kind of get along. So they both are on that list to be
Hmm.
unfortunately put down tomorrow. And I want to qualm any drama real quick because some people on Facebook were like, "Oh, I can't believe they're doing this." Uh, Orange County Animal Services does everything that they possibly can
Hmm.
to prevent this from happening. The
Hmm.
dog has been with them for over 150 days
Yeah.
and has gone through multiple cares, through different tests and stuff like that. Other dogs, cannot necessarily be released back into normal society because of the actions of
Hmm.
people. So you cannot necessarily be mad at Orange County Animal Services when they have exhausted all means. Yes, it's an
We're just
unfortunate
taking a
situation.
close look inside the harsh
Exactly.
reality of the statistics with our
Yep,
animal
100%.
shelters and the tough decisions they have to make every month. And it's
Every month,
heartbreaking.
Bridget. It's horrible. It's horrible.
It
But
is.
it takes people like you, it takes people like me
I mean,
to
it's
make
hard to
sure
talk
that,
about this.
yeah, that we
So,
get on our platforms and that we educate along the way too, because as long as people are spaying and neutering their pets, this will long term prevent this kind of stuff from happening. And then once you welcome an animal to your home, that's part of your family. The stories, Bridget, I hear when I'm
hmm,
there, would kill you because it's just like, yeah, they had him for 9 years and they didn't want him anymore, so they just turned him in.
I
And
know.
it's like, really? Really? So if you feel it in your heart today, please call me, call us, get in touch with News 6. We will get you in touch with how you can rescue Boo before the deadline tomorrow. So
Yeah.
I hope to join you tomorrow with some better news.
Yes. We
And
want a
if
good
not,
update to his story.
yes. And if not, I'll bring you the facts and we will keep trying because that's
Hmm.
the only thing that we can do, right?
All right. Thanks,
So
Steve.
you're welcome. I'll give you a quick traffic
Hmm.
update real fast. Things pretty decent out there for the most part. We're watching some police activity down here, Osceola Parkway and Greenwald. There was a crash, but there was a shooting overnight that took place at an apartment complex. So if you travel through this area, you may run into little slowdowns and maybe wondering, why are the cops all over the place? Sanford, crash on 46 25th Street by 417. Please be careful there. And then a minor one just west of there at the intersection of Reinhardt and 46. Westbound delays are slowly starting out there, so just be careful. John Young Parkway to 27, 30-minute drive, 10 minutes from Lake Mary to Maitland, so that's not too bad this morning. It's actually a pretty good drive for us. The delay there in Deltona is there with a quick slowdown before you cross over the lake. And then Pine Hills, good morning to you. Orlo Vista, Kirkman, Old Winter Garden, and then a little further to the southeast, the airport's looking good. So if anyone's heading out this morning, just be careful. I'll be out by the airport. I'm going to go check out some school zones out there today. Even though there is no school, people have asked Bridget about school zones being active
Hmm.
when school's out
Hmm.
and if you have to obey the school zone. So we're going to talk about that 8:30, clickorlando.com. And I really appreciate you letting me
Hmm.
use some time on your show to talk about Boo and Zara.
Yeah.
So thank you, Bridget.
Yes. I'm hoping and praying that Boo gets a home. Somebody is out there who can hopefully take him home today. So,
Yes, please.
all right. Thanks, Steve.
Bye.
Bye. So, we want to talk about the summer slide this morning. And the summer slide if you have any students in your family, you know that it happens over the summer break where students lose a little bit of whatever they retained in learning from that school year and up to that point in school. So sometimes you could lose maybe what you learned in one previous year or even up to 2 years of what you learned. So today we're talking about reading and literacy, and we have an expert with us, a local literacy scholar, Dr. Miriam Ortiz from beyondtheresearch.com. Good morning, Dr. Ortiz.
Good morning, Bridget. Thanks so much for having me today. It's an honor to be here.
Well, I'm so happy to talk to you about this because it's something that it's a learning loss that happens over the summer for so many students. It's one of those things you can't see sometimes until school starts the next year.
Right, exactly. So when we're in school, we're practicing every day. We're practicing these skills and hopefully we're getting better at them. And during the summer, we tend to take a break and get a little bit more relaxed on that. And so it's like a muscle, right? If you don't practice, then you're not going to get stronger. And sometimes you might even get weaker. So summer learning loss is like that. So you can lose what we see a lot of times is at least 2 months of previously learned materials, which is that summer time frame, right?
Right. And you want to give students a chance to relax, let kids be kids during the summer. What are some tips that you have for finding that balance of a fun summer break, but also still learning over the summer break?
That is a great question. The key is to make learning fun, right? Make practicing reading fun. You don't want to make it a daunting task or, tell your kids, hey, you have to read now. Build in incentives, find books that they love to read. So for my older son, that might be Diary of a Wimpy Kid. For my youngest son, he loves those Who Would Win, animal battle books. So as long as they're reading anything, you can also create games with vocabulary words. So even just creating a bingo out of a piece of paper and practicing that, or asking them questions while they read and having a discussion about that. So you're not just building that fluency and accuracy, but you're also building those comprehension skills as well.
And kids like tech. What are some of the things that we can do to engage them maybe on some of that screen time?
So there are all different kinds of apps, some paid, some that are available for free, some that are in the middle, right? And you have like a light version where part of it is free. I know that we love PBS Kids Learning, so they have tons of all different kinds of games. Epic, which is an online library, so they have some free resources. There are YouTube, even you can find books that are read to you on YouTube. So that can even be a great resource as well.
Okay. And if we're seeing that our student is struggling, there's sometimes that concern of, maybe they need something more intensive to get caught up or get up to speed. What do you suggest?
So there are some great resources for students who are struggling. I think the first part is really trying to figure out what exactly is it that they're struggling with. So are they struggling with what we call decoding, which is like those letter sounds and being able to blend them together into words? Are they struggling with reading fluently? So connecting those words and reading with prosody. And then really targeting those skills specifically. So even just 15 minutes a day of sitting with your child, it doesn't have to be that long, and giving them just some positive corrective feedback. So what I mean by that is, let's say they make an error while they're reading. We want to just help them by modeling the correct word or the correct sound, modeling it for them and helping them out. That really just goes a long way.
And how can you track their progress in terms of where they ought to be versus maybe where they left off or where they should be going into the next school year? How can we sort of gauge that? Sometimes it's hard to tell.
That's a great question. So communication with your child's school is key, right? This is a collaborative process. But there are some evidence-based resources out there as well. So one of the ones that I use often that's available for free is Dibbles out of the University of Oregon. And so they kind of give you some benchmarks. But really, I would strongly suggest, really communicating with your child's school, with their teachers, to really get a sight of where exactly it is they're struggling and what it is they need.
And sometimes there are tutoring resources available as well.
Yes, and sometimes they're available for free as well, depending on the needs of your child.
So just depending on which district you are in and everything, you can check with them and sort of get in the right direction on that and get them caught up so that they can have a good start to the school year, which is just a few weeks away.
Definitely.
All right. Well, we love this information, Dr. Ortiz. Thank you for being with us. And so we can find you at beyondtheresearch.com.
Yes.
All right. Wonderful information. Hopefully we can keep that summer slide from being too long.
Definitely. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a good day. All right. It is a summertime, topic sort of vibe we're in this morning. So we do want to talk about preventing sunburn. We talked about heat exhaustion and heat stroke the other week and, fireworks safety. Today, our Crystal Moyer has more on sunblock and, the safety precautions around preventing sunburn.
Is never fun. Your skin feels like it's on fire, and anything that touches you hurts, not to mention the potential long-term health effects.
Every time you get a sunburn, it ages your skin and it increases your risk for skin cancer.
Consumer Reports' Trisha Calvo says prevention should be a priority. Wear the right sunscreen and cover up. A top-performing sunscreen in Consumer Reports test that's also a Consumer Reports Smart Buy, Coppertone Water Baby's Lotion SPF 50.
The right way to apply a lotion sunscreen is to use a teaspoon per body part that's not covered by clothing.
But when you forget sunscreen or don't correctly reapply it, there are ways to relieve the discomfort. Start by taking frequent cool baths or showers.
As soon as you're done bathing, pat yourself dry. Don't rub the towel against your skin. You want to leave your skin a little damp and then apply moisturizer.
Look for moisturizers that contain aloe vera or soy. Since sunburns inflame the skin, taking an anti-inflammatory like aspirin or ibuprofen can help reduce swelling and alleviate discomfort. And be sure to keep hydrated, drinking more water than usual. If your skin blisters, don't pop or peel them. Allow them to heal. And if you do go outside, cover up by wearing loose-fitting clothes that cover up the burn and stay in the shade as much as possible.
And see, I didn't realize that the baby sunscreen is turning out to be most effective, so that's something to check into as well. Speaking of being out there at the beach, we have had a rash of shark bite reports come in, 3 in just the past few days. And so our Treasure Roberts talked to one of those shark bite victims who is recovering right now and says he doesn't plan to get back in the water anytime soon.
I had torn 4 tendons in my foot from the bite.
21-year-old Connor Baker was here on vacation with his girlfriend and her brother. On July 4th, they were about knee-deep in the water playing football.
Slanted towards the shore, and all of a sudden I felt like my foot was just getting stabbed on both sides. My first instinct was just to yank my foot out. I was kind of in shock.
Baker made it over to his girlfriend's brother, who got him out. People began to crowd him after learning what happened, and a Volusia Beach safety officer wrapped his leg with a tourniquet before he was taken to the hospital. There were lacerations on the top and bottom of his foot.
Are you grateful that you walked away with your life?
Oh yeah, really grateful that and that I didn't lose anything on my foot either. That I still have a foot, that I'll still be able to use it at some point.
But until he recovers, Baker said he won't be able to work or coach football.
I would guess probably at least a month and a half to 2 months before I can even try to walk again.
According to Florida Museum, in 2023, Florida had the most unprovoked shark bites in the U.S.
The Florida Fish and Wildlife Commission shared some tips for how to reduce your odds of being bitten by a shark if you're out here playing in the ocean. Number 1, try not to wander too far from the shore. Number 2, don't wear bright clothing. And number 3, refrain from splashing in the water because that may draw sharks' attention.
Do you think you'll stop coming, or do you think you're going to get back out there in the water someday?
I'll definitely didn't scare me away from like going to the beach. I don't know, could be forever, but I don't see myself getting back in the water for the foreseeable future.
In Volusia County, Treasure Roberts getting results, News 6.
So that's something to really be careful of if you are headed out to the beaches right now, particularly around that New Smyrna Beach area, which is more statistically prone to those shark bite incidents. And just with the rip currents and the shark bites, I'm going to do ankle deep at best. But I love going to the beach, and, you know, you just want to be safe, whether it's sun protection and staying away from dangerous waters. So we have clickorlando.com with a lot of great information, and weather-wise with meteorologist Jonathan Kegas is up next, followed by Trooper Steve on patrol, going to some of those school zones to see what's going on during the summer in those school zones for you out there on the road. I will see you at noon with more news and weather on WKMG News 6 at noon. Take care.